Let's look at your calendar from 2 weeks ago. You were frustrated. You were hitting a wall. You were looking at your growth metrics and they were flat, or worse, they were trending down. You tried do-it-yourself approach. You tried tweaking things yourself. It didn't work. That's why you finally pick up the phone. That's why you invested in a new strategy. You were energized. You felt like a leader taking a stand for their company's future. But then we launched, and something happened. Somewhere around the 48-hour mark, the adrenaline wore off and the founder's panic set in. This is the moment where you start looking for reasons to kill the very thing you just paid for. You start refreshing the dashboard every 10 minutes. You see that leads aren't an instant float, or you see a comment on an ad that you don't like, and your heart rate spikes. Suddenly, you aren't thinking like a CEO anymore. You are thinking like a person trapped in a room with a ticking clock. You call me or you call your team and you start pointing at the tech. You say that pixels are wrong. You say the copy isn't your voice. You say the leads, the 3 leads that came in, aren't the right fit. But let's be honest with each other. You aren't actually worried about the tech. You are worried because the new system is making you feel like a beginner again. You are worried because if this does work, you are going to have to change the way you operate. The most dangerous thing you can do right now is what you are currently whispering to yourself. Maybe we should just go back to what we were doing before. Think about that for a second. You want to run back to a strategy that you already know failed. You are literally choosing the comfort of a slow death over the discomfort of a new life. In this episode, I'm going to show you exactly why your brain is lying to you, why you are currently at -5 even you think you are at 0, and how to stop sabotaging the very growth you claim to want. Most founders think that if they stop a new risky campaign and go back to their old ways, they are resetting to 0. They think, at least I know how to handle the old problems, it's safer there. But you aren't at 0, you are at -5. While you are sitting there perfecting your old broken funnel, your competitors are eating your market share. Your sales team is losing morale because they are chasing dead leads. Your brand is becoming synonymous with old news. Every day you spend in your comfort zone is a day you are actually sinking. You tell yourself you are protecting your budget. You say, I don't want to waste my money on something that isn't proven. But you are already wasting money. You are wasting the overheads of your office, the salaries of your staff, and the opportunity cost of the clients you aren't signing. The 48-hour panic is not just your ego trying to find a way to stay in control. When we launch something new, the old rules disappear. You might need a new sales script. You might need to learn how to handle a different type of objection. You might need to sit and wait for the data to actually tell a story instead of reacting to a single day's metrics. But because you don't know the new rules yet, you feel out of control. And for a founder, feeling out of control is the ultimate fear. So you try to regain control by killing the campaign. You would rather be the king of a failing company than a student of a growing one. If you want to scale, you have to accept that the safety you are running back to is actually a graveyard. The only way forward is through the unknown. You have to stop blaming the leads and start looking at why you are so afraid to let the process play out. Now let's talk about the real reason you are hitting the panic button. It's not about money, it's about the feedback. I work with founders who have great products. They have product market fit, but even they are terrified of the market. Why? Because the market is a mirror that doesn't care about your feelings. When you were doing it yourself and failing quietly, you could tell yourself stories. You could say the market just doesn't understand us yet, or we just need one big break. But when we launch a professional growth engine, the feedback is loud, it's fast, and it is real time. This is where the feedback phobia starts. If the ads don't convert, or if the prospects in the discovery calls are saying no, you have to face the responsibility that your perfect product has flaws. You have to face the possibility that your value proposition is confusing. Instead of saying, great, now I know what to fix, most founders say, the leads are bad. You are using selling as a shield. Have you noticed that when you are nervous on a call, you talk more? You rush to the demo. You spend 40 minutes showing off features that the prospect didn't even ask for. You do this because as long as you are talking, you are in control of the narrative. You are protecting your baby from the prospect's reality. But you are also protecting yourself from the very information you need to double your prices. You are so busy trying to convince them that you aren't understanding them. The fear of getting real-time insights is the biggest bottleneck in your company. If you are afraid to hear that your product isn't valuable to a certain segment, you will keep trying to sell it to the wrong people at a discount. You are literally paying for the privilege of staying ignorant about your own market. I want to ask you a very uncomfortable question. When was the last time you truly listened to a prospect? I don't mean waiting for your turn to speak. I mean listening until it hurts. Most of you enter a discovery call with a selling mindset. You think your job is to convince, to persuade, and to overcome objections. But when you do that, you are acting like a street performer trying to grab attention. You aren't acting like a high level partner. When you rush to talk, you are actually broadcasting your own insecurity. You are afraid that if there is a moment of silence, the prospect will realize they don't need you. So you fill the air with features. You talk about your technology and your unique methodology. But here is the reality. The prospect doesn't care about your methodology. They care about their own survival. And you can't understand their survival if you are making all the noise. I want you to try something in your next call. It's going to feel like psychological torture at first. I want you to ask a deep, open-ended question, something like, what happens to your department if you don't solve this problem in the next 6 months? And then I want you to shut up. Don't clarify the question, don't offer suggestions, just sit there. That silence is the most productive work you will do all week. In that silence, the prospect has to look at their own reality. They have to face their own ugly truths. If you jump in to save them from the silence, you are actually saving them from the pain they need to feel to make a change. If you don't let them feel that pain, you will never sell them at a high price. You will be stuck in the commodity trap, fighting over a few $100 because you never discovered the $100,000 problem hiding behind their silence. You think that by selling you are building trust. You aren't. You build trust by being the only person in the room brave enough to listen to the truth. When you stop talking, you stop being a vendor and you start becoming a doctor. Doctors don't pitch, they diagnose, and you can diagnose if you are too busy talking about how shiny your stethoscope is. Now let's talk about why your prices are too low. Your prices are low because you are selling the gain and you are completely ignoring the cost of inaction. Founders love to talk about what the client will get: more leads, better efficiency, a faster system. That's the gain. But for most prospects, the gain is a nice to have. Humans are biologically wired to avoid loss more than we are wired to seek gain. If you want to scale, you have to find out what is costing them to not work with you. When you listen, I mean really listen, you find the gaps. You find out that because their current system is broken, they are losing 2 hours of productivity per employee per day. You find out that their churn rate is 10% higher than it should be. You find out that the founder hasn't taken a vacation in 3 years because the business will collapse without them. That is the cost of inaction. When you can put a number on that, when you can show them that staying the same is costing them $50,000 per month, for example, suddenly your $10,000 or $20,000 offer isn't an expense anymore, it's a bargain. But you can only do this if you face your own fear of getting feedback from the market. If you are afraid of what the prospect will say, you will stay on the surface. You will keep selling nice to have tools or solutions or services. You need to remember, you are at -5 right now. You have already failed at the old way. You have nothing to lose by being brutally honest with the market and letting the market be brutally honest with you. Stop trying to save the deal by talking. Start winning the deal by listening to the cost of their current reality. If you find out that you can't help them, tell them. That honesty is worth more than any sales pitch. But if you can help them, don't dare discount your price. You are the bridge from their current hell to their future heaven, and bridges are not cheap. So here we are. You are standing at the edge of a new growth stage. You have the strategy, you have the engine, you have the products. The only thing standing in the way of the next level is your own need for comfort. The 48-hour panic is going to happen again. Your brain is going to tell you to turn back to the burning building. It's going to tell you to blame the ads, blame the team, or blame me or your vendor. When that happens, I want you to realize that it is a choice. You can choose the predictable failure of your old habits, or you can choose the unpredictable growth of this new stage. Stop protecting your ego. Your ego doesn't pay the bills, your market does. And your market is trying to tell you exactly how to solve their problems if only you'll stop talking long enough to hear them. Growth isn't found in the things you already know how to do. Growth is found in the silence of a discovery call, in the data of a new campaign, and the ugly truths you have been avoiding. If you are a founder and you recognize yourself in this, if you realize you have been in the bottleneck in your own company, I want you to do one thing. In your next call, ask the hard question. Then count to 5 in your head. Don't say a word. See what the market tells you. Because once you start listening, you'll realize that the growth you have been chasing wasn't out somewhere there. It was waiting for you to get out of your own way. I'm looking forward to hearing what your market actually says when you finally let it speak. Drop a comment below with the most uncomfortable feedback you have received lately. Let's look at the mirror together. I will see you in the next episode.